Have you ever felt like you were on an island, surrounded by a sea of loneliness? Sometimes, it seems like God is distancing us from everything and everyone, doesn't it? Friends who were once inseparable begin to drift away. Relationships that seemed promising fall apart, and opportunities you thought were certain simply disappear. It's a difficult phase, and it's natural to feel misunderstood, as if no one really sees what is happening inside you. But what if I told you that this loneliness could be a sign that God is working in your life? In many cases, this distancing is not a punishment, but a preparation. The chosen ones often go through periods of isolation because God wants to connect with them in a deeper way. He wants you to hear His voice clearly, away from the distractions and noise of everyday life. If you are going through this phase, know that you are not alone. This experience can be challenging, but it is also an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Today, let's explore together why God may be allowing you to go through this moment of solitude and what He is preparing for you. Before we continue, if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, take the opportunity to subscribe now. This way, you will stay updated on all the messages that can illuminate your path and strengthen your faith. Let's embark on this journey of discovery and transformation together. When you find yourself in a period of loneliness, it can be difficult to understand what is happening. Often, this loneliness is a call from God for you to draw closer to Him in a more intimate way. God desires to reveal Himself to you, and for that, He may allow you to go through moments of isolation. This is not a punishment, but an opportunity for spiritual growth. Think of Moses. He spent years in the desert, away from everything and everyone, before being called to free the people of Israel. During that time, he had the chance to connect with God in a profound way. It was in the desert that Moses learned to hear God's voice and understand His mission. Loneliness prepared him for one of the greatest challenges of his life. Another example is Elijah, who also went through a period of isolation. He was taken to a desolate place, where he had the opportunity to hear God's voice in a gentle whisper. This moment of solitude was crucial for Elijah to strengthen himself and receive the guidance he needed. God did not shout at Elijah. He spoke in a whisper, and Elijah could only hear because he was in a quiet place, away from distractions. When you feel distant from people and situations, it may be a sign that God is calling you to a deeper relationship with Him. Loneliness can be uncomfortable, but it is in this space that you can truly hear what God has to say. It is a moment when you can reflect on your life, your choices, and your purpose. Loneliness can also be a time of healing. Often, we are so busy with everyday life that we cannot stop and look within ourselves. When we are alone, we have the chance to process our emotions, deal with past wounds, and prepare for what is to come. God uses these moments to heal and strengthen us. It is important to remember that loneliness does not mean being truly alone. God is always with you, even when it seems like no one else is. He is by your side, ready to hear your prayers and guide you. When you feel isolated, it is an opportunity to turn to Him and seek His presence. During these periods, you may feel tempted to seek distractions. It is easy to want to fill the void with activities, social media, or even superficial relationships. But if you do that, you may miss the opportunity to hear God's voice. Instead of seeking distractions, try to focus on moments of prayer and meditation. Set aside time to read the Bible and reflect on what God is saying to you. Loneliness can be a moment of discovery. You may begin to notice things about yourself that you had never noticed before. What are your fears? What are your dreams? What truly matters to you? These moments of introspection can lead to a greater understanding of who you are and what God desires for your life. When you allow yourself to be alone with God, you open space for Him to work in you. He may reveal things you need to change, areas where you need to grow, and even new paths you should follow. This intimacy with God is essential for you to fulfill your purpose. If you are going through a period of loneliness, do not be discouraged. See it as an opportunity to draw closer to God. He is calling you to a deeper relationship. Use this time to pray, meditate, and seek His presence. Allow God to speak to you and reveal what He has prepared for your life. This journey may be challenging, but it is also full of blessings and spiritual growth. Remember that loneliness can be a disguised gift. It is a moment when you can connect with God in a way that you may have never done before. Take advantage of this opportunity and open your heart to what God wants to show you. When you go through moments of loneliness, it can be difficult to understand what is happening. Often the feeling of loss can be painful, but it is important to remember that not everything we lose is truly a loss. God, in His wisdom, may be removing from your life everything that does not contribute to your purpose. This may include toxic relationships, superficial friendships, and destructive habits that actually prevent you from growing. Think about how many times you have felt trapped in a friendship that did not bring you joy or support. Sometimes, the people around us are not aligned with what God has for us. They can pull us down, make us doubt ourselves, or lead us away from our true path. When God allows these relationships to fade, He is actually protecting you. He knows that you need people who encourage you, help you grow, and are willing to walk alongside you in faith. Moreover, destructive habits can be a significant barrier to your spiritual growth. You may have become accustomed to behaviors that are unhealthy or that distance you from God. When God removes these things from your life, He is giving you the chance to break free and strengthen yourself. Loneliness can be a time of reflection, where you can evaluate what truly matters and what needs to be left behind. This process of spiritual cleansing can be challenging. Often, we do not immediately understand why certain things are leaving our lives. It may seem unfair or painful, but it is important to trust that God has a greater plan. He is shaping you for something better, something you may not yet be able to see. The pain of loss can be intense, but it is in this space that God can work in your heart and prepare you for what is to come. When you find yourself alone, use this time to focus on yourself and your relationship with God. Ask Him what you need to let go of and what you should embrace. This dialogue can help you better understand what is happening and accept the changes that are occurring. Loneliness can be a moment of growth, where you can strengthen yourself and prepare for new opportunities. Remember that God is not abandoning you. He is, in fact, guiding you to a better place. Sometimes it is necessary to go through a period of discomfort so that we can become the person He wants us to be. Trust that by removing what does not help you grow, God is making room for something new and wonderful in your life. This process may take time, and it is normal to feel confused or sad. But instead of clinging to what has been lost, try to look to the future with hope. God has incredible plans for you, and every step you take toward your purpose is a step toward realizing who you truly are. Loneliness can be a disguised gift, an opportunity to free yourself from what weakens you and to connect more deeply with God. Take advantage of this time to reflect, pray, and seek His guidance. By doing so, you will be preparing to grow and flourish in ways you never imagined. It is easy to place our trust in the things and people around us. Often we feel secure when we have a stable job, strong relationships, or material possessions. But in moments of loneliness, God reminds us that our true security comes from Him. When everything around you seems uncertain, and the people who were once by your side are no longer there, It is a sign that God is teaching you an important lesson. This period of loneliness may be uncomfortable, but it is an opportunity for you to learn to depend solely on God. Many times we seek the approval of others, believing that we need their validation to move forward. But the truth is that you do not need anyone's approval to fulfill your calling. What really matters is what God thinks about you and what He desires for your life. When you find yourself alone, it is the perfect time to reflect on your priorities. You may begin to realize that over time, you may have placed your trust in things that are temporary. Jobs can change, relationships can end, and material possessions can be lost. But God's presence in your life is constant and eternal. He never abandons you and is always ready to support you. This time of loneliness is an opportunity to strengthen your faith. Instead of feeling helpless, use this moment to draw closer to God. Pray, read the Bible, and seek to understand what He wants to teach you. When you dedicate yourself to this pursuit, you begin to realize that God is the only true source of security and peace. He wants you to trust Him above all else. Learning to depend on God can be a process. Sometimes it can be difficult to let go of the things you consider secure. But as you surrender to this journey, you begin to experience an incredible freedom. You discover that you do not need to worry about the opinions of others or the uncertainties of life. Trusting in God brings a peace that the world cannot offer. When you focus on God, the circumstances around you begin to lose their importance. You realize that, even in the midst of the storm, He is your refuge and fortress. This trust empowers you to face challenges with courage, knowing that God is in control. He has a plan for you, and that plan is much greater than you can imagine. Loneliness can be a time of growth and learning. By stepping away from distractions, you can hear God's voice more clearly. He wants you to know that even when everything seems uncertain, you can trust Him. This trust is not just a belief, it is a lived experience. As you surrender to God, you begin to see how He cares for you in every detail of your life. So, if you are going through a period of loneliness, do not be discouraged. See it as an opportunity to deepen your relationship with God. He is teaching you to depend on Him, and this lesson is fundamental to your spiritual growth. By trusting in God, you will find the true security and peace you seek. Remember that regardless of the circumstances, you are never alone. God is always with you, ready to guide and support you every step of the way. Life is full of transitions, and often, these changes come accompanied by loneliness. Before major transformations, it is common to go through periods of preparation that can seem challenging. These moments of isolation are not just a difficult phase, but a divine preparation for something greater that is to come. A powerful example of this is the story of Joseph. He was sold into slavery by his own brothers and for years faced loneliness and injustice. However, this time of isolation was crucial for his development. While he was away from his family and in adverse situations, Joseph learned to trust in God and develop skills that would prepare him for a grand future. Eventually, he became the governor of Egypt, saving not only his family, but also many others from famine. The loneliness he faced was a necessary step for God to fulfill His plan in his life. Another example is David, who spent years fleeing from King Saul. During that time, he lived in caves and deserts, far from his home and family. This phase of loneliness was a period of great learning and spiritual growth. David became a man after God's own heart, and his life experience prepared him to be the king of Israel. He learned to depend on God in moments of despair and to trust in His protection. The loneliness that David faced was not in vain. It was preparation for the calling that God had for him. Even Jesus went through a period of loneliness before starting His ministry. He spent 40 days in the desert, where he faced temptations and solitude. This time was essential for him to prepare for the mission ahead. During those days, Jesus strengthened himself spiritually and connected deeply with the Father. This experience of loneliness was a moment of consecration and preparation for what was to come. If you are going through a time of loneliness, know that this may be a sign that God is preparing something incredible for you. Often we cannot see what is to come, but it is important to trust that God has a plan. He is shaping you, just as He shaped Joseph, David, and Jesus, so that you can fulfill your purpose. This period of transition may be uncomfortable, but it is an opportunity to reflect on your life and your goals. Ask yourself, what is God trying to teach me in this moment? What areas of my life need growth? Loneliness can be a time of self-discovery, where you can learn more about yourself and what truly matters. Moreover, loneliness can be an invitation to deepen your relationship with God. Use this time to pray, read the Bible, and seek His presence. As you connect more with God, you begin to better understand what He is doing in your life. This intimacy with God is essential for you to face the challenges that will come. Remember that loneliness is not a sign of failure, but a preparation for a new season. God is working in you, even if you do not see the results immediately. Trust that He is shaping your character and strengthening your faith. When the new season arrives, you will be ready to embrace the opportunities that God has prepared for you. Life is full of cycles, and each one brings its own lessons. Loneliness can be one of the most difficult moments, but it is also one of the most significant. It is in this space that you can grow, learn, and prepare for what God has in store. Therefore, do not be afraid of loneliness. See it as an opportunity for transformation and growth. God is with you every step of the way, and He is preparing something wonderful for your life. As you move forward in your life journey, you may realize that not everyone around you is destined to accompany you in every phase. This can be a difficult reality to accept, especially when it comes to close friends or family. However, it is important to understand that God has a plan for you, and this may mean that some people need to distance themselves so that you can grow and develop. When you begin to move toward your purpose, you may notice that some friendships dissolve. This does not mean that you did something wrong, or that these people are not important. Often God knows that these relationships are no longer healthy or productive for your spiritual growth. Sometimes the people who were by your side at a certain moment in your life are not prepared to keep up with the changes you are experiencing. This can be painful, but it is a natural part of the growth process. Think about how trees grow. Sometimes it is necessary to prune branches so that the tree can bloom and strengthen. Similarly, God may be pruning some relationships from your life so that you can focus on what truly matters. This can be a sign that you are ready for a new level in your life, and God is preparing the way for you to move forward. When you distance yourself from people who are not aligned with your purpose, you make room for new connections. God has the right people He wants to place in your path. People who will support you, encourage you, and help you fulfill what He has for you. These new friendships can be deeper and more meaningful, as they are based on similar values and goals. It is natural to feel sad or lonely when some relationships dissolve. However, it is important to remember that loneliness can be a time for reflection and self-discovery. Use this space to focus on yourself and your relationship with God. Ask Him what you should learn from this experience and how you can grow from it. This time of introspection can help you better understand your own needs and desires. Moreover, it is essential to recognize that change is an integral part of life. As you grow, your priorities and interests may change. What was important to you at one moment may no longer be relevant at another. This is normal and is part of the maturation process. By accepting that some people cannot continue with you, you allow yourself to move toward what God has in store. Remember that God is always with you, even when some people distance themselves. He is your source of love and unconditional support. When you feel alone, turn to Him. Seek His presence, and allow Him to fill the voids left by relationships that are no longer in your life. God can use this time to strengthen your faith and prepare you for what is to come. Sometimes it can be difficult to understand why certain people are no longer in your life. But when you look back, you may realize that these changes were necessary for your growth. Each experience, each relationship, brings valuable lessons. By reflecting on these lessons, you can become stronger and wiser. When you allow yourself to let go of what no longer serves your purpose, you open yourself up to new opportunities. God has incredible plans for you, and this may include new friendships, new projects, and new experiences. Be open to what He is doing in your life. Trust that, by distancing yourself from what is no longer useful, you are preparing for something greater. The journey of growth can be challenging, but it is also full of blessings. As you move forward, remember that every step you take toward your purpose is a step toward realizing who you truly are. Do not be afraid to let go of what no longer serves you. God is with you in every phase of this journey, guiding and supporting you every step of the way. In a world where people often define themselves by the relationships they maintain, the work they do, and the image they project, loneliness can be a powerful invitation for self-reflection. When all of this is taken from us, we are forced to confront the truth about who we really are. This introspection can be uncomfortable, but it is essential for personal and spiritual growth. Loneliness takes us to a place where we can no longer hide behind the expectations of others. Without the distractions of friendships, work, and social obligations, we are confronted with our true essence. This is an opportunity to look within and reflect on our beliefs, values, and desires. Often we discover that our identity has been shaped more by the opinions of others than by who we truly are. God wants you to discover your true identity, an identity that does not depend on what others say, but on what He says about you. Each of us is created with a unique and special purpose. When we distance ourselves from external influences, we have the chance to hear God's voice and understand what He really thinks of us. This revelation can be transformative, as it helps us see our intrinsic worth and accept who we truly are. Just as gold needs to be refined in fire to become pure, we also go through processes of purification. The intense heat removes impurities, revealing the beauty of the precious metal. Similarly, loneliness can be a fire that refines us, removing the layers of insecurity and doubt that we have accumulated over time. This process can be painful, but it is necessary for us to shine in our true form. The diamond, in turn, undergoes extreme pressure before becoming a precious stone. This pressure is what transforms it into something valuable and admired. When God allows the chosen ones to experience loneliness, He is shaping something grand within them. This pressure may seem unbearable, but it is an essential part of the transformation process. It is in this space that God works in our hearts, preparing us for what is to come. If you feel alone right now, know that this is not the end. It is just a process of preparation. God is separating you from distractions and influences that no longer serve your purpose. Although you may not fully understand what is happening, trust that He is working in your life in ways you cannot yet see. What is being shaped in you is greater than you can imagine. This time of isolation can be an opportunity to reconnect with God and seek His guidance. Ask Him who you really are and what your purpose is. By doing this, you may begin to discover the beauty that exists within you, a beauty that does not depend on the approval of others. Loneliness can be a challenging path, but it is also a path of self-discovery and growth. By facing this moment, you can emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with the truth of who you are. Remember that God is with you every step of this process, shaping and refining you to become the person He always knew you could be. The biggest lie that the enemy can try to put in your mind is that you have been forgotten, but that is not the truth. God is closer to you now than ever. He is preparing you, strengthening you, refining you. So instead of despairing, use this time to grow. Pray more, seek more. Allow God to complete the work He started in you. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you are never truly alone. God is with you, always.